Welcome back to Lamoda Academy, Indonesia. You're here with me, Gayu, and Lizzie. Let's continue with today's lesson.
In this video, we will continue our discussion with a tutorial on drafting the basic bodice pattern using a simple Indonesian system, focusing on the back pattern, drafted at a scale of 1 to 4. After completing the front pattern, we will continue drafting directly beside it. This approach helps simplify the drafting process and makes it easier to check the measurements between the front and back patterns later. First, we extend the existing guideline along the waistline. Draw a straight line to the right and leave a small gap. Next, draw a vertical line upward perpendicular to the waistline as shown in the video. The drafting process for the back pattern is generally similar to the front pattern. The intersection of these lines is labeled as point A. Once point A is established, we determine the position of point B. According to the formula for the back pattern, the distance from point A to point B is the back length. Measure upward from point A based on the back length measurement, and this will determine the position of point B. Next, from point B, we locate point C. In the formula, the distance from point B to point C represents the back neckline depth, which is 1.5 centimeters. After locating point C, draw a horizontal guideline from point C perpendicular to the vertical line, extending to the right, as demonstrated in the video. Next, we locate point D, which lies along the horizontal guideline drawn from point C. The distance from point C to point D is calculated as 1/6 of the neck circumference. No additional allowance of 1.5 centimeters or 0.5 centimeters is added here because the back pattern includes a small shoulder dart. This shoulder dart will later pull the back neckline inward during sewing. Therefore, the distance from point C to point D is calculated using only 1/6 of the neck circumference, without any added allowance. Once point D is located, connect point B to point D using a curved line to form the back neckline curve. Next, we focus on the waist area, specifically at point A. From point A, we determine the position of point E. According to the formula, the distance from point A to point E is 1/4 of the bust circumference, minus 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters, depending on the client's body type. The reduction value must be equal to the amount added to the front pattern. If 1 centimeter is added to the front pattern, then 1 centimeter must be subtracted from the A to E distance on the back pattern. This is done to maintain proportional balance between the front and back patterns. Once point E is determined, we locate point F. The distance from point E to point F is the side length. Measure upward from point E according to the side length measurement, and this becomes the position of point F. Next, we construct the frame for the back pattern. To find point G, the distance from point C to point G is equal to the distance from point A to point E. Simply copy the AE length upward to determine the position of point G. Once point G is located, connect point G to point E using a dashed guideline. From point F, draw a horizontal guideline to the left until it intersects the line drawn from point A to point C. Label this intersection as point Q. Next, we determine the position of point H. The distance from point G to point H is 1/4 of the length FG minus 1 centimeter. After locating point H, draw a horizontal guideline to the left from this point. We now begin shaping the back shoulder dart. The process is similar to shaping the shoulder on the front pattern. From point D, draw a line equal to the shoulder length toward the horizontal guideline drawn from point H. The end point of this line is labeled point I. From point I, extend the line by 1.5 centimeters to locate point J. Next, we locate point K. According to the formula, the distance from point D to point K is half of the shoulder length minus 1 centimeter. Then we determine point L. The distance from point J to point L is half of the shoulder length plus 1 centimeter. Now we return our focus to the waist area at point A. To locate point M, the distance from point A to point M is calculated as 1/10 of the waist circumference minus 1 centimeter. Once point M is located, connect point M to point K using a dashed guideline. Next, we locate the dart apex for the back pattern. From the guideline drawn between point F and point Q, measure downward 4 centimeters. This point is labeled point N. To determine the dart width, locate point O. According to the formula, the distance from point M to point O is fixed at 2 centimeters. Then, connect point M to point N and continue to point O to form the back waist dart. Next, we determine point P. The distance from point O to point P is 1/4 of the waist circumference minus 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters depending on the client's body type. For a slim or adolescent body type, subtract 1 centimeter. For a fuller body type, subtract 2 centimeters. Connect point P to point F to form the side seam of the back pattern. Next, we begin shaping the back armhole. The distance from point Q to point R is calculated as half of the back width. Measure from point Q to the right to locate point R. From point R, draw a vertical line upward until it intersects line CG. Label this intersection as point S. The line from R to S serves as the boundary for shaping the back armhole curve. Then, form the back armhole by drawing a curve from point J to point F, as demonstrated in the video. After completing the armhole, we proceed with the back shoulder dart. From points K and L, measure downward 6 centimeters to determine the depth of the shoulder dart. Connect these points using solid lines to form the shoulder dart. That concludes the process of drafting the back bodice pattern using the Indonesian system. Simple, isn't it? That wraps up this topic. Thank you for learning with me and Lizzie at La Moda Academy, Indonesia. We'll continue in the next video. See you in the next lesson.